Hello dear students, welcome back again to Chinmoy's YouTube channel. So till now we are continuing that reproduction in plants lesson only. I have already posted 3 videos where I have already taught you types of reproduction: asexual reproduction, that is binary fission, multiple fission, budding, fragmentation. I have already taught you spore formation. So in the previous videos we have already spoken about vegetative propagation by natural methods and vegetative propagation by artificial methods. So if you have not gone through those videos, please do go through them, because I have tried my best to explain the topics in a very lucid manner. So in today's topic, in the previous topic, I've already taught you about the structure of a flower and pollination, agents of pollination, as well as artificial pollination method. So in today's video, we are going to start about the process of fertilization, seed formation, fruit formation, and germination of seeds. So without any delay, let us start with today's episode. So what are the learning objectives of today's lesson? So today's lesson we are here with we should know what is fertilization. We are going to discuss about the seed formation. We will know how the fruit is formed and what is the method of germination of seeds. So dear students, please do subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more regarding your upcoming lessons, regarding this lesson, and you want to stay updated with whatever I am teaching as per your curriculum. I will be discussing your questionnaire also, as well as different topics which is there in your curriculum, as well as the probability of the questions which will be coming in your exams. So stay tuned, stay updated with my lessons. So please do subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like and share my videos. So let us start with today's lesson of asexual reproduction in plants. So here I have given a label diagram of the process of fertilization. So just let us see what is there in this process of fertilization. So when a pollen grain, it reaches the stigma of a flower, it begins to grow into a pollen grain is falling on the stigma of a flower. So what is happening? The pollen grain, it begins to grow into a pollen tube. So this is the pollen tube. It has started growing into a pollen tube. Now down the pollen tube, now we have seen that it is beginning to growing into a pollen tube, and then the pollen, it comes down and it is going through the pollen tube and it is reaching the ovary of this flower. Now the nucleus of the pollen tube is divides into two gametes. So the nucleus here, it divides into two gametes, right? So it is dividing into two gametes, or it is 2n. So it is dividing into two male gametes, and a male gamete or a male sex cell travels down each pollen tube and fuses with the egg. So here the egg is there, it is fusing with the egg. Okay, so it is fusing with the female gamete. So the male or the pollen which is coming down the pollen tube, it is 2n, having two nucleus. The nucleus of the pollen tube divides into two male gametes, right? So the male gamete or the male sex cell, it is fusing with the egg cell or the female gamete inside the ovule. So this is the ovule. They are fusing inside the ovule, and this process of fusion of the male and the female gamete, this fusion is called fertilization. So fusion of male plus female gamete, it is called fertilization. So this process is called fertilization. And this fertilization, after that, what is the single cell that is result of this fertilization is called the zygote. So the single cell which is formed after this total fertilization process, it is called the zygote. So the steps of fertilization are here. You can see the pollen is falling on the stigma, the pollen tube is getting extended. Now this nucleus is dividing into 2n, and here the egg cell also is there, and there are two polar nuclei. Now this process of double fertilization and fertilization in details you will be studying full in your standard 9. So there is a detailed lesson on fertilization, there is a detailed lesson on this germination of seeds. So in details in higher class, like in 9th standard only, in the next class only, you'll be going to study. So for this class, this is enough. Please learn this label diagram. This is two polar nuclei are here. So this is the egg part. This is the female gametophyte, where the sperm cell or the sperm nucleus is coming, which is dividing into two. And this is the tube nucleus which is already here, and this pore is called the micropyle. This part through which the pollen grain or the sperm cell or the male nuclei is entering the egg cell, this is called the micropyle. this part is this hole through which it is entering is called the micropyle. So these labeling with this diagram, please learn it thoroughly. So in 9th standard it will be again in a more detailed method. So I have already posted a video of 9th fertilization. If you want to learn more on this fertilization, you can refer to that also. I'll give the link here. But for your 8th standard, this one is enough. And if you want to know about double fertilization and all, so how it is happening, so in 9th standard I have already discussed. So for 8th, this process is enough. Now let us move on to the notes of fertilization. Now what is fertilization? I have told you in the earlier video only. The fertilization is the fusion of the male and the female gamete. So that is called fertilization. So after fertilization, the single cell which is produced after fertilization, what is it? That is called the zygote. So the single cell which is produced after fertilization is called the zygote. Now after fertilization, the ovary develops into a fruit, while the ovules in the ovules which are present inside the ovary, they are forming or developing into the seeds. So the ovary is maturing into a fruit. This is very important. So which part of the flower is maturing into a fruit? The ovary is getting matured into a fruit, whereas the ovules which are inside the ovary, they are maturing into the seeds. So this is the gist or the sum up of this process of fertilization. Okay. Now after fertilization, the next step is seed formation. So how the seed formation is happening here? So first, after fertilization, the sepals, the petals and the stamens, they fall off. Okay. So what is happening? So as soon as fertilization is completed and the zygote is formed, just you see this this diagram. So after the zygote is formed, what is happening after fertilization? After the pollen is falling on that stigma, and the pollen, through the pollen tube, we can say that the pollen tube is growing, and through the style to reach the ovules inside, right? So it's reaching the ovules inside, and the nucleus of the pollen tube, it divides into two male gametes, as we have told earlier. And the male gamete travels down the pollen tube, it's fusing with the egg cell inside the ovule, and thus a zygote is formed. So once this zygote formation has happened, what is happening? The sepals, the petals and the stamens, they fall off, and the stigma and the style also, they wither away. Okay, so what is there? The ovary containing the ovule, the ovary containing each fertilized zygote, ovule, it continues to grow. So this is only continuing to grow, and the outside part, that is sepals, petals, stamens, the stigma and the style, they are all withering away and they are falling. So the ovary containing the ovule and each with fertilized zygote continues to grow, and the zygote then divides and grows into an embryo which has two cotyledons and an embryonic axis. So this is growing into an embryo which has two cotyledons and an embryonic axis, and the fertilized and the developed ovule, it changes into a seed. Now the fertilized ovule, this ovule, this ovule part is changing into a seed. So the fertilized ovule, it changes into a seed, and a seed is fertilized again, and mature ovule which can grow into a new plant. So the seed, the ovule part, it is developed. With the developed ovule, it changes into a seed, and the seed is fertilized, and the mature ovule which can grow into a new plant under favorable conditions. So thus from the seed a new plant grows, and from the ovule which is developing into a seed. So from the ovule a seed is developed, and from the seed it is fertilized to a mature ovule which can grow into a new plant. So this is the process. So I think it is clear to all of you. Now here is a fact that is an exception also, like some fruits like apple and pear, these are false fruits because their ovary does not form the main fleshy parts, right? So the ovary does not form the fleshy parts. They are called the false fruits because the ovary should form the main fleshy parts. But in these cases, it remains the central part containing the seeds. So the seeds are forming the main center part. So the ovary is not what is seen in apple or pear. These are not the ovary, which fleshy parts what we are eating is not the ovary part. So the central part is the ovary, which is the small central part which is containing the seeds only, that is the ovules. Okay, so that is exceptional cases. So pears and apples, they are called false fruits. Now we have already told that the ovary is maturing to form the fruit. So how the fruit formation is done? Now fruit is ripened ovary that contains one or more seeds. So fruit can be fleshy or dry depending on the wall of the ovary. The wall of the ovary can be fleshy as papaya, tomato and cucumber, or is dry as pea. So this you can see a ripened fleshy fruit. Though we are eating tomato as a vegetable, but it's not a vegetable. It is a fruit. It's a fleshy fruit with, you can see that, a fleshy part with all its seeds. So it's a ripened ovary which is containing all the seeds inside it. So fruit contains seeds and it is having a ripened ovary, and like papaya, tomato, cucumber and pea is also a seed which is dry. Okay, so it's a fruit which is dry, as in pea we can say the fruit protects the seeds from insects, diseases and extreme climatic conditions. So the outer pulpy layer of the fruit, it's protecting the seeds inside. They are protecting the seeds inside of any fruit, whatever you choose, whether papaya, whether cucumber, whether mango. So the seed is being protected from the outer harsh conditions, from insects, from diseases and from the extreme climatic conditions. So this is the, after the fruit is formed, the inside part is being protected, the seeds are being protected from the outside harsh conditions. So now we will move on to, after fruit formation we should move on to the germination of seeds. So next comes the germination of seeds. What we can see here, we can see here a typical seed of gram or a bean seed which consists of a seed coat. We can see that in this seed we are having a seed coat. You see this diagram, we are having a seed coat. Now it consists of two fleshy cotyledons, one this side and one that side. So two fleshy cotyledons, and this part, the structure, the axis which consists of two parts, that is, this is the we can say that this is the embryonal axis. These axis consist of two fleshy cotyledons and a short curved structure called the embryonal axis. So this is the embryonal axis. That a short curved structure of the seed is called the embryonal axis. Now this axis consists of two parts, that is, the lower part is called the radicle and we can say that the upper part is called the plumule. So we can say that this lower part is called the radicle and the upper part which will grow into the shoot part is called the plumule. The lower part is called the radicle and the upper part is called the plumule. Is it clear? Now the lower part, it's called the radicle which forms the root system, and the upper part which consists the leafy structure is called the plumule. Now this plumule is growing into the shoot system and the radicle is growing into the root system. And what is germination? What is the process of germination? The process by which a sleeping or a dormant embryo, so the embryo was in a dormant state, it was not being activated, when it becomes active and grows into a new plant, that is called germination. So the process by which a sleeping or a dormant embryo becomes active and grows into a new plant, it's called as germination. Now what are the main conditions which are necessary for germination? So this, from the very basics we have studied. So water, suitable temperature, oxygen, these are required for germination. So what is germination? The process by which a sleeping or a dormant embryo grows into a new plant is called germination. So we have told the parts. There is a baby plant or an embryo inside, and it is having two cotyledons, and the inside part, the curved part, is called the embryonal axis. The axis which consists of two parts, the lower part is called the radicle and the upper part is called the plumule. So this is all about the germination of seeds. Please learn this label diagram also. I am having another set of label diagram just to see that. Here also, see, it is also a structure of a seed. It's a bean seed and it's a pine seed. So this we will take, this is a bean and gram seed we are taking, for example. So see this. So this is the upper stem. This is called the epicotyle and this is hypocotyle, or the lower stem. This part is the radicle which will grow out into a root, and this part is the plumule, and we can see the first leaves which are growing out into the shoot part or the shoot system. Now this part, this is called the hilum. This notch is hilum. This spore is the micropyle. We have told you in the previous diagram where I told you through which the style is entering. The pollen tube enters the egg with carrying the sperm cell. That hole, that pore is called the micropyle. So the micropyle is the opening through which the male sperm nucleus enters the egg. So that is the opening, the micropyle. This is the cotyledon which is storing the food, and this is the outside seed coat. So the cotyledon which stores the food, this is the seed coat, and this is all the plumule, epicotyle, hypocotyle, radicle, hilum and micropyle. So these are all the label diagrams which are very important for your exam. Please go through them, please learn them, and please draw them, practice them with all its labeling part, so that if you are getting a picture study also for your exams, you can write each an individual labeling part with its function. Okay, so you can say which part is having which function. So please do go through this, and if you have not gone through the previous episodes also, I am putting the link down in this description box, as well as I link above. So I have completed today the full reproduction in plants for you all. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned, stay updated. So twice or thrice a week I'll be posting your lessons. So as of now, this lesson is completed for you all. Revise, practice and come up with more and more questions and queries right in my comment box. Thank you.